the shopping street. I wanna hit the lottery. I want a whole lot of things that don't cost a thing, so I can go back to my friends who got mom and dad.
Welcome to another Conversations with Lexi. Let me catch you up. It's been a while since the last time Lexi came to have a conversation with her mother, me, Marla, from the Marla and Dave show, for those of you who are familiar, or Marla Talks. Marla does Girl Talk. I also do Conversations with Lexi. Lexi, congratulations, by the way, on your graduation. You are now entering into your second, not secondary education. Would it be secondary? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, primary is the first 12. She's entering into college. She's going to Syracuse in a few weeks. And we're here today because in the group Real Talk with Marla and Dave on Facebook, Tulani entered a very interesting post that essentially asked the question, or made the statement, why should she cash in her retirement to send her daughter to school? Why should she sacrifice her nest egg? And what was the last statement that she made? She's 18 years old.
So she's legally no longer my responsibility.
So legally, she is no longer my responsibility. Well, I said to Lexi, considering that all that the financial stress and things that have gone through, you see that that she should feel blessed that essentially we're cutting our wrist and bleeding to be sure that she goes to college financially. So Lexi's comment was, and I'm going to give you a quick overview, that's what parents essentially are supposed to do. That's a parent's natural responsibility. And the conversation erupted, and here we are having a conversation with Lexi about whose responsibility is it to pay for college for your child who is 18 years old and has decided to work hard, decided to go to school. Whose responsibility is it? Go, Lex.
Well, in my opinion, it is a parent's responsibility because you can look at it this way. When a kid goes to high school, it's there. You're not going to be the ones taking their tests, making the effort. They have to make the path. You don't just get into college. College is not something that everyone just gets to do. I know plenty of people who didn't get into college. So I'm saying if your child makes an effort and is actually able to get into college, regardless of what financial aid they get or don't get, whatever they don't get paid for, I think it's the parent's responsibility, bottom line.
So at 18 years old, how do you answer at 18 years old is considered legal adulthood? And technically, all I'm saying to you is, even though I'm a parent and you're a child, there's no actual responsibility that I have. So my premise, hold on, is that anything I do for you, Dad and I do for you, and anything that we grant you as a gift, based on your performance, we agree to continue to sacrifice in love for you to take the next steps. But it is not my responsibility. It is actually a gift that you've been granted.
Okay, technically, legally, I'm not your responsibility. But at the same time, and yeah, it may be a gift. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not spoiled. I don't think like, oh,
well, you seemed entitled when you said that.
But at the same time, it's not like I'm asking you to pay for me to go live on Malibu Beach with my friends. I'm doing something to better my future and ultimately...
Whose future?
My own. But ultimately, when you get old and you want to be put in a retirement home, I also think it's a child's responsibility to give back. It's a cycle. It goes around and around.
So you heard that here on Conversations with Lexi.
Okay, yeah, okay, but at the same time, I don't think just because legally it's not my responsibility. So really, if you're a parent, you were going to sit there, and if your kid can't afford to go to college, then, oh well, start working at McDonald's, do what you can.
Yes.
Really, you're not going to take out loans? Well, I think that's bad parenting. And as a person, when I have kids...
But you don't.
Okay, but when I do... I will be fully willing to accept the responsibility that when my kid, and if my kid, hopefully my kid will, makes a decision to go to college, I will be the one to support them and pay for their endeavors. Bottom line.
Two things I want to remind you guys of. One, she just promised to take care of Dave and I when we're old and not put us in a retirement home. Two, she said that no matter what happens, when she has children of her own, we'll revisit this video, she's going to make sure that she is totally financially responsible for her children who've created that opportunity for themselves to go to college. That will be on her.
It's parents' responsibility, in my opinion, to be able to allow their kids to make progressive decisions in life. And that is one of the biggest. Also,
and I think the biggest progressive decision is it is your future. And so
but in
who better to invest in your future than you? So basically...
Yeah, that's right. But if you can't, also, here's another point. I know many people, to be able to afford college these days as a student, hands out all on your own, you either have to be a 4 and props those people who did it. I had a high GPA, but I didn't have a 4.6. And even I know people who had GPAs that high.
So people who have a 4.6 did absolutely everything they could.
And extracurriculars. Those people, okay, not all of them. It's a small percentage, like 5 to 10% of people actually get full ride scholarships for academics. That's the bottom line. Second of all, college is so expensive these days. It's not like I can work so hard, manage to get super good grades, and be working 3 jobs and still get those good grades and be able to get into college in the first place. So, I do know people who had plenty of jobs and were in school. You have to be a superhero to be able to make that much money to provide for your own college and still pull in grade good enough to get into a good college. You have to be a superhero.
Okay,
and
so
for a parent to sit back and watch you struggle and fail out of your classes just because they're not going to pay for
You're assuming that they're going to fail. Okay, stop.
It's so unlikely.
The bottom line is, and it's unlikely because parents, I want you to hear this conversation. Lexi, thank you. You've had your say. Stay here. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to say this. For all the parents listening, this is the generation of children that we have created. I left home at 18 and I had parents who had way more than enough money to support and take care of me through all kind of frivolity and everything else. But the difference is that when you raise the bar and expect them to lean on themselves, grow up, do what they have to do, it turns out to be quite a different story. So this conversation with Lexi, to me, has proved one thing. Yes, it is wonderful and it is something that a parent should plan for. But at the same time, just know that it is not something that's in the rule book that a parent should send their kid to college. Think about what you want for your future, and kids, you got to invest in yourselves. I don't care what it takes. Raise the bar.
Also, wait, let me just make one last final closing statement. Also, I think that, now call me crazy, but this is a whole separate conversation besides just the school thing. I think that when you make the decision to be a parent, and you're the one who has a conscious decision to have a kid,
woo!
You can't say, oh, it's my turn. It's almost, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but it's borderline selfish. By the day you decide to have that kid, you are a parent. You're going to be a parent till the day you die.
You are taking for granted, young lady, hold on. You're taking for granted that parents are first people. And people do have, yes, but the reality is you happen to have good parents. Matter of fact, you happen to have great parents. That doesn't mean that parents are all going to operate within the rule book of what you expect. And what I'm saying to you is...
I'm not saying they will. Clearly, they won't.
What I'm saying to you is when a parent says that it's my turn, eventually you have to stand up on your own 2 feet. Everybody is expected to walk. You can't be cradled forever.
Okay, but until I have legs, you're just going to push me down and watch me crawl forever?
You know what? You don't build muscles to get strength in legs until I let you crawl around and stand up. You did it when you were a baby. She's going to do it again now. And eventually, bottom line is, she's going to do everything that she can. And then when it's time for you to extend your study beyond this, it's going to be all on you. Give me 5. Dad and I have sacrificed to the hilt, and we're getting you grown.
I'm not clapping your hand.
Give me 5.
I don't agree with you.
Come on, give me 5. Conversations with Lexi. You sit here, Lexi refuses to give me 5. Bottom line for you, Lexi, last statement. Make your closing statement because we're going to get out of here.
Bottom line is that as a parent, as a good parent, and I'm not saying all parents, as a respectable good parent, if your child makes a decision to better their life and eventually better the life of your family, if you have, that's the type of cycle you have going, it's your responsibility to provide the means for your kid to go to college. Or watch them struggle and fail and not go.
And failure creates success. You don't know success until you fail. And the bottom line for me is the more that you do, the stronger that you get. The stronger that you get, the more that you grow. And there are things that you can take on, my friend, that you have no clue that you can take on. And I'm saying that your perspective is spoken like a child that lives inside of a very, very protected bubble.
And I'm saying that your perspective that a child could possibly exceed and do well in that type of situation environment is very unlikely.
Happens all
unrealistic.
The time.
That's bubble-esque.
Happens all the time.
Bubble-esque and unrealistic. Small percentage of those kids will make it.
You've heard it here. We will agree to disagree. We are Marla and Lexi, and this has been Conversations with Lexi. Who should really pay for college? See you next time.
My friends took a mom and dad bought for me.